This is Winter Ready 2018, a severe weather special from the WENY News First Warning Weather Team, brought to you by SIMMONS Rockwell Subaru.
Well, welcome to WENY's Winter Ready 2018, brought to you by SIMMONS Rockwell Subaru. I'm Chief Meteorologist Joe Veras, along with meteorologist Allie Debicki and Tony Chivaroli. And over the next half hour, we'll delve into several winter weather topics. We'll look into lake effect snow and how it could have a positive impact for some.
We also talked to a few local law firms to learn more about what responsibilities homeowners have when it comes to shoveling sidewalks. We also will pass along a few tips that can help you save money when it comes to winterizing your home. And have you ever wondered how local superintendents decide whether or not to close your local schools?
And of course, we'll give you our take on how cold the winter is shaping up to be and how much snow to expect. But let's start off the show with lake effect snow. I sat down with Dave Nicosia from the National Weather Service office in Binghamton to learn more about this extreme type of winter weather.
From light coatings to literal walls of the cold, white, fluffy stuff, lake effect snow can travel miles away from the actual shoreline of the lake itself, causing quite a mess. It's a well-known and well-expected weather event here in upstate New York, and on the subject, the National Weather Service office in Binghamton gives us some insight. The folks here at the National Weather Service office in Binghamton, New York are always very helpful when it comes to finding out some more weather information, so come on, let's head inside. I sat down with David Nicosia, the warning coordination meteorologist. Lake effect snow. We know it comes from the Great Lakes, but how does it actually come to be?
You have cold air that comes down out of Canada, comes across Lake Ontario, and the cold air goes over the warm waters and leads to condensation, clouds, and ultimately, when it's cold enough, snow. And when the winds are out of the northwest, our area gets lake effect snow.
Typically, we all see some type of lake effect snow at some point, and for people who live near cities like Erie, Buffalo, Rochester, or Syracuse, lake effect snow can be downright crippling. When it comes to areas getting those huge walls of snow, one major key is actually the wind blowing near parallel to the lake, not just proximity.
When the wind is blowing parallel to the lake, like for instance in Lake Erie situation, if the winds are out of the west-southwest and it's along the long axis of the lake, you get these big single lake effect snow bands that form off the lake, and they just don't move that much. And you're getting 3, 4, 5 inches of snow per hour.
So, we talked about the Great Lakes, but what about the Finger Lakes? Well, when it comes to lake effect snow bands from the north, our lakes here can actually help intensify the amount of snowfall for the region, as opposed to how they lessen it with early nor'easters and clipper systems out of the southwest.
The winds will often, especially if they're in the right direction, if they're coming out of the north-northwest and they're parallel to like Seneca Lake and Cayuga Lake, the two longer lakes, the wind will funnel down through those lakes and those lakes actually add moisture to the already moist air that came off of Ontario, and we get Finger Lake snow bands. And they can produce, surprisingly, quite a bit of snow.
It's amazing that with the right amount of moisture and wind direction, we can see so much snow production, even in our own area. And with all this snow also comes a laundry list of problems for homes and businesses in an intense snowband's path. However, we're diverting away from the negative to look at the positive aspects of lake effect snow and how important it is to the skiing and snowmobiling industry. To do so, I reached out to the owner of White Lake Snow Tours. The snowmobile touring company is nestled right in the Tug Hill Plateau, where lake effect snow just so happens to be a big driver of tourism.
It allows us to run for a longer season than most other companies that operate like us, that might operate up in Orange County by Lake George or might operate up in Lake Placid. They tend to get more tourist traffic, but we get more snow, so we tend to attract more people, and it actually helps our business be a little more reliable with taking reservations and stuff, because we rely on that snow to come in.
Whether you love it or not, lake effect snow will continue to be an impactful weather curveball this time of the year for a long time to come.
And again, speaking of curveballs, we do get a lot of different types of snow other than lake effect. We get clippers, nor'easters, plenty more ice and snow will be on the way this winter, and we really are just here at the beginning of the season.
Well, that's right. And it's always good to be prepped on all fronts when it comes to accumulating snow. This includes who's in charge of cleaning up.
That's why I took a look at sidewalk snow removal in the Twin Tiers and how to avoid it becoming a liability. The state of our sidewalks. Something we may take for granted in the warmer months. Storm after storm, if not treated properly, ice and snow can build up, making walking conditions dangerous for pedestrians. So dangerous that one slip may be the difference between life or death. James Reed, an injury and malpractice attorney in Elmira, has seen hundreds of slip and fall cases, some worse than others.
When somebody falls on snow or ice, it can be really horrible. I mean, and I've seen a lot of bad injuries over the years. So
many of these injuries, he believes, are easy to prevent. It may be confusing whose responsibility it is to clear the sidewalks outside your home, especially if you rent as opposed to own.
If the landlord is delegating that responsibility to you, you need to know you're taking on that responsibility. So first and foremost, read your lease.
Heading into winter, as a renter, it's important to check your lease. Some landlords may handle yard work or removal processes, but some may not. Knowing early on will eliminate the guessing game and lessen the liability.
We do all the yard work, the snow plowing, snow shoveling, plowing the driveways, we do it all.
Capriati Properties is one management company that takes the responsibility on for its tenants, prioritizing individuals that may be handicapped or disabled and commuters, then working through the rest of their properties as snow tapers.
Sometimes you're like a ping pong ball trying to go around to all the properties and get everybody out at the same time. So it is difficult. We try to start early in the morning, but obviously if it's snowing heavy, it doesn't make a lot of sense to start and only have to come back again.
The process can still be a challenge, but in some cases, having your own resources, supplies, and a little patience can help. Capriati's crew, fully stocked on pallets of salt, several snow blowers, and riding tractors for this winter, are ready to combat whatever comes their way. But are you?
Regardless of what the law says, it's something that if you're a property owner, it's an obligation you're taking on. The bottom line is it's an obligation that comes with home ownership, that just do the right thing, whether you're legally liable for it or not. Clear your sidewalks.
It's not too late to prepare. Take advantage of local removal resources and don't be afraid to bulk up on the necessities for this winter season. Now we do have a full list of ways to properly keep up with building snow through the winter season and a few local resources for salt and removal equipment. That's all online now on WENY.com. You can check that out right after our special.
All right, thanks a lot, Allie. Coming up, it's never an easy decision for superintendents to make. Should they or shouldn't they close school when the flakes fly? And later, we'll share some money-saving tips with you on how to save on heating costs.
You're watching Winter Ready 2018, brought to you by Simmons Rockwell Subaru.
Well, welcome back. Winter weather can result in a lot of headaches for area schools when it comes to the safety of their students.
That's right, and there's more communication and road surveying efforts that go into school closing than you might realize.
There is overnight snow or ice in the forecast. Those of you with kids in school know what time it is early the following morning. It's time to get up, make that coffee, and turn on your television or computer to check out all of the closings. Sometimes it's much simpler with schools closing the night prior, but there is a detailed process that must be accomplished first. That process all boils down to timing and the expected intensity of the storm, as it can easily differ across a single county. To find out more in the southern tier, my travels brought me to the Corning Painted Post School District, whose superintendent was more than happy to help fill in the blanks.
Let's say the snow comes in the evening, middle of the night. Transportation supervisor gets out very early in the morning and actually drives roads. And you know, this district is very large, 238 square miles. People who don't live here think that the district is primarily the city of Corning or Irwin and Painted Post, but it's not.
When it comes to cities like Corning and Elmira, schools have to take into consideration every part of the landscape. If temperatures are on the cusp of the freezing mark, conditions can be drastically different when it comes to comparing downtown areas to a more rural area of higher elevation. The most severely affected areas are the keys to making the call on closings and delays.
The weather is very different in those areas. We're dealing with a lot of dirt roads, a lot of bad roads. So it's a full assessment of what the conditions are throughout the district. And then, we have a conversation based on, previous circumstances. It's all about a school bus. Not what driving a school bus is very different than driving a car. So can buses make it up hills? Are the bus stops safe? Those are all the things we take into consideration.
Along with this communication, there is also plenty of talks with the road crews out in the field, along with fellow superintendents across the southern tier. When mixed together properly, this all makes a successful recipe of safety for our students.
Now that's the southern tier of New York, but what about the northern tier of PA? Well, I came down here myself to get a little bit more information on the communication between school closings and delays.
Northern Bradford County sees its fair share of snow and ice during the winter, and districts must stay on their toes there as well. So I sat down with the superintendent from the Sayre Area School District to find out more about how they handle things. The system for Sayre and many other northern tier schools is similar to the southern tier. However, with more spread out and rural areas, the situation is a bit tricky.
Most of us are living and working in rural areas, so it's not the same as busing in town. I would say Sayre is probably one of the smallest districts in this group of superintendents. And so we are mindful of much larger geographic districts such as Troy and Athens, our neighbor.
According to Griggs, there is a great network of conversation in Bradford County amongst area road crews and superintendents, which helps to ease the decision-making process. Also, because some of the districts are on the smaller side, direct communication with parents to the point of personal texting is actually feasible.
Parents feel very comfortable. Some of them text me or email me, and that's not a problem at all. I mean, I think that's a responsibility of this position. And I try to listen to their concerns because, again, I only live in one small area. If they are seeing something very differently in our outlying areas, then I want to know about that because, we have to consider the conditions that all children are in to try to get in or back home.
It may seem frustrating as a parent or a student, but schools have to put in their due diligence before that closing or delay pops up on your TV screen.
And I know we've all been there during the morning, but you really have to be patient when it comes to school closings and delays. They are working their hardest.
All right, thanks a lot, Tony. When we come back, heating costs are expensive this time of year, but there are ways to stretch your hard-earned money. I learned how you could actually save thousands. We'll have those tips for you coming up as Winter Ready 2018 continues.
Welcome back. With colder temperatures settling into the Twin Tiers, homeowners and renters alike are burdened with hefty utility bills. And for many, especially those living in older homes, your hard-earned money is literally slipping through the cracks.
That's right. Fortunately, there's affordable ways to properly winterize your home. I sat down with Eileen Hanrahan, a community energy educator from Cornell Cooperative Extension, to learn more about the Smart Energy Choices program.
In this area, there's a lot of older housing stock. There's not a lot of new construction in the area, so many of the homes are older, anywhere from 80 to 100 or more years old. So typically houses are very drafty, and some of the areas that people can easily fix up are around their windows.
Homeowners can save on heating costs with simple do-it-yourself projects.
You can put weather stripping under your door and around your doors. You can put plastic on your windows. You can put foam insulation, little gaskets around your outlets. You can even use some really simple spray foam caulk in areas around pipes where there might be holes through the foundation, things like that, to help seal up any holes, cracks, and reduce air leaks in the house in general.
A way to optimize your savings is to have a qualified technician come and perform a home energy assessment. For most people, this assessment is free.
This is a 3 to 4 hour full comprehensive home energy assessment that's covering your whole house from basement to attic. And the comprehensive report that you get back will tell you where all your energy leaks are and where your biggest energy losses are, so that you can pick and choose. If you wanted to just do 1 or 2 improvements, you know where you can spend your money that you're going to get your best return on investment.
Once you find out where your trouble areas are in your home, then it's time to hire a professional to help make your home more energy efficient. For New York homeowners, the Empower program can cover thousands of dollars in home improvement energy costs.
If you're income eligible, the Empower program provides grants up to about $7,000 to people who are income eligible, who can then have insulation put in their home, seal up air leaks, improve their lighting, all kinds of really fantastic things to make a significant improvement in the home energy efficiency.
Once your home is properly insulated, the savings can be quite impressive.
This woman had the full weatherization package done on her home because she was income eligible. They put insulation in her house and did a lot of other really fantastic stuff. Her bills prior to having her home weatherized through this program were about $260 a month, and now they're down to about $80 a month. That's just remarkable.
For those heating with more costly methods, there's also options to help save money.
If you are using oil or propane, some of the most expensive forms of fuel, there are some incentives also available to get wood stoves or wood pellet stoves. Those will add significant savings to your utility bills.
Chemung Heating and Building also offer these tips to help save during the colder months.
A lot of people turn the thermostats down at night thinking they're saving energy costs, but the following morning you've lost that ambient temperature in your home. Your furniture's lowered in temperature. Everything has an ambient temperature to it. So when you try and heat all that back up the following morning, you're burning up that savings that you saved overnight.
They also recommend upgrading to a digital thermostat, which is more accurate than the older dial-type units in many homes. For more information on how to make your home more energy efficient, and to find out what incentives may be available to you through the Smart Energy Choices program, you can head over to our website, weny.com, for more information.
Well, the time has come. Coming up, we'll be able to give the shovels a rest, or this year will we have to invest in a heavy-duty snowblower?
We'll be here to give you our take on the upcoming winter season.
You're watching Winter Ready 2018. We'll be right back.
Well, welcome back. The time has come to give you our projections on what to expect over the next few months. Will it be a snowy stretch or perhaps a balmy start to the new year? Before we give you our forecast, let's look into what may have an impact on our weather this season. All right, now we want to first recap on what we were dealing with last winter here in the Twin Tiers, and by and large, it was a fairly average winter for us in the Elmira area. We were coming off a weak La Nina season. That has changed a bit as we've gone into this upcoming winter season. We're going to talk more about El Nino and its potential impacts on what we can expect in the coming months. But just to recap what we had last winter, typically we get about 42.5 or so inches of snowfall each winter in Elmira. Last year we came in with 41.5 inches, so a little shy of what's normal, but temperature-wise very close to an average November, December, January, February. We came in with an average temperature those months of 25.4 degrees, and we end up being about a degree below average. So it was kind of a typical winter last season.
Yes, very normal.
But what's in store for this season, because things have changed a little bit. We kind of look at the teleconnections across the globe and what that could mean for us for the upcoming months.
Well, you do, and you get, these things that, we're trying to help you people understand a little bit more in terms of the ebbs and flows of the atmosphere, what's going on, and we're going to start things off, Joe. Start things off with what we're looking at within the upcoming El Nino pattern going into this winter.
That's right. All right, so this is what we're looking at now as we head into the upcoming winter months. Now, in a normal winter, we have the trade winds along the equator there in the Pacific, and they blow off towards a westerly direction. That kind of pushes a lot of the warmth from the Pacific farther off towards the west. That's in a normal year. That's not the case, though, for this winter, and we've already seen signs of those warmer temperatures now kind of shifting farther back off towards the east. So this means that we're heading into an El Nino pattern. We have warmer than average temperatures here over the eastern Pacific. And basically that has impacts on our winter weather here in the United States. Now, in a typical El Nino season, we have warmer temperatures across the northern tier along with below average precipitation. And across the southern states, it's usually wetter than average, but with cooler temperatures. So that's something that we're keeping a close eye on. Again, that's a typical El Nino winter. What we also look at are kind of some more short-term trends in the atmosphere. And this really drives our winter weather here in the Northeast. It's the North Atlantic Oscillation. It can have either a positive phase or a negative phase. And this really has high impacts on what our local weather will be like here in the Northeast and Twin Tiers. When we have a positive phase, that means there's an area of low pressure up towards Greenland, and that basically means our jet stream is fairly zonal, and that keeps temperatures pretty much average or even a hair above average. But when we have a blocking pattern in place, that means we have a negative phase with that North Atlantic Oscillation, and instead of low pressure up towards Greenland, we have an area of high pressure, and that tends to buckle the jet stream and allows all that cold air from the Arctic to settle south into the Great Lakes and northeastern United States. So that's something we also keep a very close eye on when it comes to our winter projections, but that tends to be more short-term instead of long-term. National Weather Service, this is what they're thinking this winter, above average across most of the country, especially the Pacific Northwest. This does include us here in the Northeast, but notice, guys, we're not seeing any below average temperatures forecast anywhere in the lower 48. This is very typical of a normal El Nino winter with dry conditions over the Great Lakes and above average precipitation forecast for the southern states. So the time has come, guys, to kind of give you our take on what we're expecting. And I'll start it off. I'm thinking temperatures this winter will end up being near average to slightly above average at times, just because of that El Nino pattern that we're in.
And again, I'm thinking of things very similar, just going to get some good cold shots of air as we go on throughout the later stage of the winter, but I'm right around where Joe's thinking as well.
Yeah, near average for me as well. Slightly above in some spots, but I decided to fall right in the middle.
I mean, you always tend to have a couple cold outbreaks coming down from Canada, but we're talking in general, in average for the whole winter, and we're thinking just at or above average. Okay, in terms of snowfall, now again, remember we average about 42 inches in Elmira. I mean, we're all pretty much on the same page here. We've gotten a little bit of a snowy start this November, but with warmer temperatures forecast here in the coming months, I think we're going to struggle a bit in the snowfall department. But overall, forecasting near average snowfall.
And again, that mixed bag of weather that you do, you get the lake effect, clippers, nor'easters. It should all, though, total up to about right what we're going to expect from what we even saw just a little bit around last year, right around average, essentially.
We'll have to stay tuned and see exactly what happens in the coming months, but that is our take on the winter weather. Well, thank you for joining us for our Winter Ready 2018 special presentation brought to you by Simmons Rockwell Subaru. For Allie, Tony, and I, thanks for watching and stay safe this winter season.
Winter Ready 2018, brought to you by Simmons Rockwell Subaru, is a WENY News special presentation. Thank you for watching.